And for those who are here with me present, Maina and Dennis, I want us to do these examples, yeah? I'm hoping you can see my screen, what I'm presenting clearly. Mwana vizuri? Okay, now let us do these examples. I'll call you class I. Hi. Yeah, can you hear me? I'll call you, niko class I. Nitakupigia baadaye, niko class. I'm sorry for that disruption, but let us continue. Now, I was saying, for those who are present, I want us to attempt this example. We just want to remind ourselves what we did last time. I hope, are you able to see my screen vizuri? Mnaona vizuri? Hello? For those present, are you able to see my screen? Okay. Now let us simplify this term. We're just going to build on what we did last time so that we can be able to do something else. But for now, I want us to remind ourselves how to simplify algebraic expression. Now, what will be the answer of this expression? When you're told to simplify, itakuwa ngapi? Anyone? This is a very simple expression. Tumeambia to simplify. We have variable x and we have constant 8 and 5. So you collect the like terms. So when you collect the like terms, the variables 5x and 2x, utapata 3x. 8 plus 5 utapata ngapi? 13. When you're told to simplify that expression, it is basically collecting the like terms. So let us do this one. 3x plus 5y minus 9x plus 7y. What will be our answer? Collect the like terms. Yes?
Sorry.
So ask if is negative 6x plus 12y. So if I write 12y minus 6x, it is still correct. So now let us do this. 5xy plus 6x squared plus 8xy minus 9x squared. You have been given that expression and you have been told to simplify. Utapata ngapi?
13xy
13xy minus 3x squared. We have collected the like terms. For x squared ni 6x squared minus 9x squared, which gives you minus 3x squared. For xy tuko na 5xy plus 8xy, which gives you 13xy. Haya, tuendelee. 5 3x plus 4 minus 7x plus 8. You have been told to simplify. What will be your answer? 15x plus 20. You first have to deal with the brackets. So unafungua the bracket mwanzo, so unapata 15x plus 20. Haya, minus 7x plus 8. Now let us collect the like terms. We group the variables together. So 15x minus 7x unapata ngapi? 8x. Then 20 plus 8 unapata plus 28. Sawa sawa. Let us continue. Let us do this example. 7 into brackets 2x minus 3 plus 4 9x minus 5. You've been given that and been to remember simplify. What will be the answer? We open the brackets. Yeah. Let us open the first bracket. Tutakuwa na 14x minus 21 plus, let's open this bracket, plus 36x minus 20. Sawa. Now let us group the like terms together. The values with the variable x. So 14x plus 36x unapata ngapi? 50x. And the constants minus 21 minus 20 unapata? Minus 41. Sawa sawa. Tuendelee tu. Let us simplify this expression. 3x squared plus 5x minus 6 minus 4x squared plus 7x minus 3. We have been given that and you have been told to simplify.
minus 3x.
Hakuna minus 3x mahali. Let us first open this bracket. Remember that if you don't have a value before the bracket, it is assumed to be 1. So in this case, we have plus 1. So when you open the bracket, so 1 times 3x itakuwa 3x squared plus 1 times 5x itakuwa 5x squared minus 1 times 6 itakuwa 6. Now, let us come to this other bracket. We have a minus over here. So minus 1 times 4x squared inakuwa minus 4x squared minus 1 times 7x inakuwa minus 7x and minus 1 times minus 3 inakuwa plus 3. Now let us group the like terms together. The x squared kuna 3x squared na minus 4x squared. So what unabaki na minus x squared. X kuna 5x na minus 7x. Inabaki ngapi? 5x minus 7x unapata minus 2x. Minus 6 plus 3 unapata ngapi? Minus 3. So that is a simplified expression. Are we together? Let us... Yes? Hello?
divide all through by x back in x squared plus
We divide through all through by
negative. Yani wewe negative iko hapo mbele.
acha ibaki hivyo. Sawa. For now acha ibaki hivyo. Now, this example 5, 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 8 minus 3 into brackets 4x squared plus 5x plus 9. Simplify that expression. Now we have a value, we have a coefficient before the bracket. Now, let us open the first bracket. 5 times 2 itakuwa ngapi? 10x cubed. Plus 5 times 5 itakuwa 25x squared. 5 times minus 8 itakuwa minus 40. So, we open the second bracket. We have minus 3 before the bracket. So, minus 3 times 4 inakuwa minus 12s squared. Minus 3 times plus 5x inakuwa minus 15x. Minus 15x. And then minus 3 times 9 inakuwa minus 27. Minus 27. If you're not sure, use your calculator to confirm. Now, let us group the like terms together. The variable x cubed ni moja, so itabaki ikiwa peke yake, so 10x cubed. Now, the x squared kuna 25 na kuna 12, so 25x squared minus 12x squared unabaki na ngapi? Plus 13x squared, it is positive. Now x, the value of x, you only have 15x, so inabaki ikiwa peke yake, minus 15x. Now the constants, we have minus 40 and then we have minus 27. So minus 40 minus 27 unapata ngapi? Minus 67. So that is the simplified expression. So now let us simplify this. We had talked about the laws of indices and how we will apply them in algebra. Now let us see if we still remember. We have a variable x. We have 4x cubed and we have 5x squared, and you're multiplying them. Utapata ngapi? We have been taught to simplify. Remember, we will use the laws of indices. So when you have a number that has that is common and it is raised to a power, and you multiply it, so what will happen to the powers? You add them.
You add the power.
So in this case, ukiambia usimplify hii itakuwa ngapi? We first deal with the constant. Yeah. Tunaanza na hizi constant mwanzo, the coefficients. So 4 times 5 ni 20. Our variable is x. Yeah? We have a common variable, and each x is raised to a power. So x raised to power 3 times x raised to power 2 itakuwa the same as writing x raised to power 5. We have added the exponents. We have added the powers. So. Now let us try this one. 7x squared y cubed multiplied by 8x cubed times y raised to power 4. We're just refreshing what we did last class, the last class. We use the same laws of indices. Yeah? We first deal with the constants, the coefficients. Yeah? 8 times 7 ni ngapi? 56. Now let us start with the variables. We have variable x and we have variable y. X raised to power 2 times x raised to power 3. Unapata ngapi?
X raised to power 5.
Yeah. And now y. Y raised to power 3 multiplied by y raised to power 4. Applying the laws of indices. Inakuwa ngapi? Power 7. Are we together? Okay. Now, the final example in terms of multiplying bases. Multiplying variables raised to an exponent. we have 4x raised to power 4 times y raised to power negative 3 multiplied by 5x cubed and y raised to power negative 5. We've been told to simplify that algebraic expression. What will be the answer? First, deal with the coefficients, the constant numbers. 4 times 5 ni ngapi? 20. Now let us deal with the variable. Now variable x. X raised to power 4 times x raised to power 3. Itakuwa ngapi?
X raised to power 7.
X raised to power 7. We have added 4 plus 3. Now y. Y raised to power negative 3 times y raised to power negative 5. Inakuwa ngapi?
Y raised to negative 8.
Y raised to power negative 8. Sawa sawa. Are we clear up to there? Any questions?
Yes.
Now, this value over here, I can write it as 20x raised to power 7 over y raised to power 8. Kuna swali hapo? Is there a question? I want us to review the laws of indices that we had talked about. When you have a number raised to a negative exponent, this is the same as writing that number as a reciprocal ama as an inverse, and that power changes its sign to positive. So if I have x raised to power negative 2, it is the same as writing it as 1 over x squared. Are we together? So in this example over here, if this is your answer, and you find that your answer is 20x, and you have a negative exponent, you can write this value of y raised to power negative 8 as a denominator. But you remember to change that sign of the exponent, the sign of the power to positive. Now, wacha tukuja kwa division. What we are doing is we are simplifying algebraic expressions. Nitaomba Cheryl kidogo tu mute background. Now 28x raised to power 5 y raised to power 4 over 7x raised to power 8 y raised to power negative 3. Let us reduce or let us simplify that algebraic expression. Remember the laws of indices. When you have two numbers raised to a power and you divide them, it is the same as writing that variable that number, and you take the powers and you subtract them. Now we have x raised to power 5 divided by x raised to power 8. We have y raised to power 4 divided by y raised to power negative 3. Now let us start with these values first, the constants. So 28 divided by 4 ni ngapi? Divided by 7 is 4. Are we together? Now x raised to power 5 divided by x raised to power 8 is the same as saying x5 minus 8. Itakuwa ngapi? Minus 3. Now variable y raised to power 4 divided by y raised to power negative 3 itakuwa ngapi? Y raised to 7. Why? We've taken y raised to power 4 minus, remember, minus 7. No, minus 3. So minus changes to positive, and you are left with y raised to power 7 and x raised to power negative 3. Now this is your answer. You can write this answer as 4 y raised to power 7 over x cubed. Is there a question? Kuna swali? Kuna swali? Okay. Now let us continue. 40x squared, 40 raised to power 5 plus 12 x squared divided by 4x. 40x raised to power 5 plus 12x squared over 4x. How will we go about this? Now, when you have two variables, two values that share a common denominator, we can write it as 40x raised to power 5 over 4x plus 12x squared over 4x. This denominator is dividing each of these values. So, we can split that, and each value on the numerator is being divided by the denominator. Now, let us simplify this. 4 can divide 40 in 10 times. So 10. Now, we have x raised to power 5 divided by x. It acquires x raised to power 4. Are we together? Plus 4 can divide 12 3 times. So 3. Our variable x. We have x raised to power x squared divided by x. So the value will remain as x. So this is the simplified expression. Is there any question? Kuna swali?
And if it is like, for example, 40x raised to power 5
40x raised to
plus
power 5
12
plus 12
y squared
y squared
over 4x.
over 4x. Now remember, this 4x is dividing each of these values. So when you split it, 40x squared or 40x raised to power 5 over 4x plus 12y squared over 4x. Now these variables are the same, so it is possible to simplify them. So itakuwa ni 10x raised to power 4. But now y and x are different. We do not know their value, so according to this labeling, y and x is tofauti. So we cannot simplify this y squared over x. But this is, it can be simplified. So we can be able to divide 12 and 4. So plus 3 y squared over x. Are you together?
12x squared
12x squared
plus 6x
plus 6x
plus 5.
plus 5. Kuna mtu amepata different answer? We have all gotten this answer. 12x squared plus 6x plus 5. Now 36x cubed over 3x plus 18x squared plus over 3x plus 15x over 3x. Our denominator is common. It is being shared by these three values, so it is dividing each of them. Now, the 36 divided by 3 ni ngapi? 12. We have x cubed divided by x, inakuwa x squared plus 3 divides 18 6 times, so 6. Indices, x divided by 2 over x inakuwa ngapi? X plus 3 divides 15 5 times, so plus 5. X zina cancel, so inabaki that is your simplified answer. Do you have a question up to there? Any question? Now let us go katika mambo ya brackets, opening of brackets. 3x plus 5 multiplied by 2x minus 3. We're just revising what we did in the last class. Let us open those brackets. How do we open brackets? We will take the first value in the first bracket and we multiply it with each of the values in the second bracket. And then we take the second value in the first bracket and we multiply it with both of the values in the second bracket. Mfano 3x, we multiply it with these values, so 2x minus 3 plus 5, the second value in the first bracket, you multiply it with the second bracket, so 2x minus 3. So 3x times 2x equal 6x squared. 3x times minus 3 becomes minus 9x plus 5 times 2x becomes 10x plus 5 times minus 3 becomes minus 15. So the simplified expression becomes 6x squared minus 9x plus 10x becomes plus x plus x minus 15. It is plus. Minus 9 plus 10 is equals to plus 1. So this is a simplified expression. Now, let us open this bracket. 3x squared plus 2x plus 4 into brackets multiplied by 3x minus 7. We do what? We take the values, the first value, and we multiplied by each, by the second bracket. We take the second value, we multiply by each of the values in the second bracket, and we take the third value and we do the same. We multiply now the values in the third bracket. 3x squared, we multiply by 3x minus 7. We take the value in the second value in the first bracket, 2x, and you multiply it by the values in the second bracket, 3x minus 7. And we do the same with that value in the first bracket, plus 4. We multiply it with the values in the third bracket, 3x minus 7. Now, 3x squared times 3x inakuwa ngapi? 9x cubed. Remember, we are still using the laws of indices. The laws of indices hatutaiachana nazo. When you take a common number which is raised to a value and you multiply it by another number of the same value, and each of them are raised to a power, x squared times x raised to power 1 is x cubed. So, let us not forget our laws of indices. Now, 3x squared times minus 7 inakuwa ngapi? Minus 21x squared. We go to the second bracket. 2x times 3x inakuwa ngapi? 6x squared. Plus 2x times minus 7 inakuwa ngapi? Minus 14x. Okay. We go to the third bracket. 4 plus 4 times plus 3x. Plus 12. And then plus 4 times minus 7. Inakuwa ngapi? Minus 28. Now, let us group the like terms. Yeah? X cubed. We only have one value of x cubed. Kwa hivyo inabaki 9x cubed. Now, x squared ni ngapi? We have minus 21 and we have 6. So, minus 21 plus 6 inakuwa ngapi? Minus 15 x squared. Now, the values of x. We have minus 14 and we have plus 12. So, minus 14 plus 12 ni ngapi? We have minus 2x. And then the constant is 28 and it is iko peke yake, so minus 28. We have been able to open that bracket and we have been able to simplify that expression. Do you have a question up to there? Is there a question? Now, when you have, no, let us do the final one. I want you to do this for me and give me the answer. 2x squared minus 7x plus 4 multiplied by 3x squared plus 5x plus 7. Open those brackets. You take the value, the first value of the first bracket, you multiply by the values in the second bracket. You take the values of the second value, you multiply with the second bracket, and then you take the third value and you multiply with the second bracket. What will we get? What will be our answer? Nani amepata solution?
6x raised to power 4
6x raised to power 4
minus 13x raised to power 3
minus 13x raised to power 3
minus 9x squared
minus 9x squared
plus 20x
plus 20x
minus 21.
minus 21. Anyone else? Have you all gotten that answer? Sisi wote tumepata hiyo answer. Anyone else? Benjamin, yeah? Maina, Peterson, Cheryl. Sisi wote tumepata hiyo answer. Mbona Dennis ameingia saa hii? Patia answer. Now, hatuna time nyingi bana. Let us multiply each value. 2x squared. We multiply with the second bracket, yeah? So times 3x squared plus 5x plus 7. Tuchukue the second value, minus 7x. We multiply by the second bracket. 3x squared plus 5x plus 7. We take the third value. Our third value is plus 4. Multiply by the second bracket. So 3x squared plus 5x plus 7. Now let us open these brackets. 2x squared times 6 times 3x squared inakuwa ngapi? 6x raised to power 4.
6x power 4.
2x squared times 5x ni ngapi? 10x cubed. 2x squared times 7. 14x squared. Now tuingia our second value. So minus 7x times 3x squared ni ngapi? Minus 21x cubed. Minus 7x times 5x times minus 7x times 5x ni ngapi? 35x squared. Minus 7x times 7 ni ngapi? Negative 49x. Plus 4 times 3x. We open the third bracket. Plus 4 times 3x squared ni ngapi? Hmm? 12x squared. 4 times 5x. 20x. And then 4 times 7 is 28. Now, let us collect the like terms together. X raised to power 4. Ni hii moja. 6x raised to power 4. There's no other value that has the variable x raised to power 4. So, 6x raised to power 4. Now, x cubed. The variable x cubed kuna 10x cubed, and we have minus 21x cubed. So 10 minus 21x cubed ni ngapi?
Minus 13x cubed.
Minus 10 minus 21 ni ngapi? Minus 11. Please note, 10 minus 21 is 11, minus 11. Let us look at the values as x. We have already cancelled, tushamaliza na x squared. Now, values of x, we have minus 49x and we have plus 20x. So minus 49x plus 20x ni ngapi? Minus 49x plus 20x ni minus 29x. Minus 49 plus 20 is minus 29x. So tushamalizana na the values of x. So what you're left with now is the constant, which is 28. So plus
What about the squared?
squared. Oh, hatukufanya squared. Where is squared? 14x squared plus minus 35x squared ni ngapi? I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Acha I cancel these values of mine. Ndio tuendelee vizuri. Haya. Tulikuwa tushapata 6x raised to power 4. Tulikuwa tushapata minus 11x cubed. Now the values of squared, we have 14x squared minus 35x squared. Itakuwa ngapi? 14 minus 35. It becomes minus 15. No, not minus 15. 35 minus 14 ni ngapi? 35 21 minus 21 x squared. Now x minus 49 plus 20 becomes minus 29x, and the value of the constant remains the same. Tuko pamoja hapo? Ama mimi naona nimekosea mahali? That is the answer. Okay. Now, is there a question up to that point? What we are doing is just practicing what we did last time. Do you have a question up to there? Kuna swali? Now, today I wanted to introduce a very important aspect of algebra. Now, what we've been dealing with is polynomial expressions. Yeah. Now, if you're given such, let me give you a very simple quadratic, and I tell you to simplify it. X. Let's see. X squared minus 13x plus 36 is equals to 0. And I tell you to solve for the value of x. We did the factorization last time. Tuliongea about factorization. When you're given values, kwa mfano, you've been told xy minus 3x z. You've been told to factorize that value. How do we factorize? Yeah? We take the common factor and we remove it. Tunaiweka nje and we introduce brackets. When you take that common factor out and introduce brackets, the remaining variables tunaziandika ndani ya hiyo bracket. So in this case, when you have xy minus 3x z, the common factor here is x. So tunaitoa nje. So unakuwa na x into brackets y minus 3z. What I've just done is factorization. I've introduced brackets. Another example, 4a squared plus 16ab cubed. We had done these examples last time, but ni vizuri tu turudie kidogo tu kujikumbusha. The common factors in this expression ni ngapi? In these two variables, 4a squared and 16ab cubed, what is the common factor? Ni ngapi? 4a. Remember to also include these variables. Yeah? So we factor out 4a. Unabaki na ngapi? When you factor out 4a in this expression, unabaki na a plus 4b cubed. What we are doing is we are factorizing. Eh? We are looking at an expression and we look at, tunaangalia in that expression, what is the highest common factor, ama the highest common multiple. I remember explaining that the highest common multiple, kwa mfano, we have been given the number 18, and you have been given the number, mfano kama ngapi? 9. No, that's common. Uko na number 20, and you have the number, give me a number, patia tu number. No, 24 is the best to use. And we have a number, let's say 16. Now the factors of 16 ni 1, 2, 4, and 8. These are the numbers that you can multiply to get 16. The factors of 4 ni 1, 2, 3, ngapi nini nyingine? 4, 6, kuna namba ingine? 8, 12. I think those are the numbers that you can multiply to get 24. Now, when I ask you to find the highest common multiple between of 24 and 16, itakuwa ngapi? 8. The highest common factor is the number that 24 and 16 share. Na value ni the highest, it has the highest value. If I tell you to find LCM of 16 and 24, it will be 2. We do not consider 1 as the LCM. In this case, itakuwa 2. It is the lowest common multiple. Sawa. The opposite of LCM is highest common multiple, ama highest common factor. Now, when we are factorizing an expression, we always look at which number, what is the highest common multiple between the variables in that expression. Let us look at this example. I'm just repeating the same examples that we did last time. Plus 15ab. In this expression, we have the variable 3a squared b, we have the variable 6ab squared, and you have the variable 15ab. Now, these variables have the highest common multiple. They have a common multiple. Which will be the highest common multiple between these three? 3, A and B. We can divide 3 all over these numbers. We also have A present, so we can be able to factorize A and B as well. Tunaweza itoa. So when you factorize 3AB, unabaki na ngapi? A minus 2B plus 5. Are we together? Now, we had already done these examples last time, so we can go back and revisit those examples. What I wanted to introduce today is this. We have been given a quadratic equation, and we want to do the same. We want to introduce brackets. We want to factorize this quadratic equation. Now, the simplest way of factorizing a quadratic equation is by looking at the coefficient of the first variable and the last variable, the constant. The coefficient in the first variable is 1. And the variable is 36. Are we together? Now, how do I factorize a quadratic equation? I want to find a number. I want to find factors, two numbers that I can multiply and get 36. Are we together? the product of those two numbers iwe 36, and the sum of those two numbers to be minus 13. I want to find a number which I can multiply and get them. I can multiply the constant, the variable is, I mean the coefficient of the e. In this case, ni 1. Which number will I multiply 1 by 36 to get 36? And when I add them, I get minus 13. Now, tuangalie factors za 36. Factors za 36 ni 1, 2, 3, 4. We cannot divide 5. 6, 7 no, 8 no, 9, 10 no, 11 no, 12. Na kuendelea hivyo. Now, which two numbers, which two factors of 36 will I multiply to get 36? And when I add them, I'll get minus 13. Nine and 4. But remember, ziko negative. Yeah? When I multiply minus 4 and minus 9, I will get 36. When I add them, I will get what? Minus 13. Are we together? So that when I come and take my quadratic equation, x squared, I can rewrite it like this: x squared minus 4x minus 9x plus 36 is equals to 0. Are we together? What we have done is we have taken this variable minus 13x na tumeiandika as minus 4x minus 9x. See, minus 4x minus 9x inakupatia minus 13x. Yeah. Now, let us factorize. Yeah, we will take these first two variables and factorize. Now, what is the common factor? Hapa. X. Nimetoa x nje because x is common in x squared and 4x. So when I remove x, nabaki na ngapi? X minus 4. Are we together? Now we come to the second group of variables, 9x and 36. Now, when I factorize this second group, it will give me the same as e. So I don't even have to think about the value in the bracket. Inafaa kuwa the same, x minus 4. Now what I want to get is this value hapa nje. That when I multiply with x minus 4, itanipatia minus 9x plus 36. What will I multiply with x minus 4 to get minus 9x plus 36? Minus 9. Are we together? Now, we group the like terms. We have x4. X minus 4, I mean. And then we take this x minus 9, tunaziweka katika bracket, is equals to 0. Now what I have done is I have factorized my quadratic equation, and I've introduced brackets. You may introduce brackets. If you open these brackets, x minus 4 times x minus 9, itakupatia hii x squared minus 13x plus 36. Are we together? Now, let us try a different quadratic equation. X squared minus 20x plus 64 is equals to 0. I want you to help me factorize this quadratic equation. The first thing, we look at the coefficients za hizi mbili, these two terms. It is 1 and 64. Now, which which number will I get when I multiply? I will get 64. 1 times 64 is 64. And when I add them, this is the product. And when I add those two numbers, it anipatia minus 20. I want to find two numbers. When I multiply, will give me 64. And when I add them, in anipatia minus 20. What do we do? The first thing that we do is we find the multiples of 64. The multiples of 64 ni mingi sana. 1, 2. Can 3, is 3 a multiple of 64? No, it is not. But 4 is. 4. 5 is not a multiple of 64. You see a multiple, 6 a multiple of 64? No, it is not. 7? It is not. 8? Yes. 9? It is not. 10? It is not. 11? It is not. 12? It is not. 13? It is not. 14? It is not. 15? No. 16? Yes. 16 is a multiple of 64 and so on. Now, which numbers between these will I multiply to get 64, and when I add them, I will get minus 20? We have 4. Are we together? Minus 16 and minus 4. Those are our roots, our factors. Now let us rewrite our equation using these numbers. So x squared minus 20x is now minus 16x minus 4x plus 64 is equals to 0. Now let us take our two variables, ile x squared na minus 16x. Now, which is a common factor? We want to remove the common factor and introduce brackets. X is our common factor. So when you remove x, utabaki na x minus 16. Are we together? Now this value ambao unapata hapa, x minus 16, should be the same on this other side. It should be the same. So you don't even have to think about what value will be in the brackets in the second set of variables. Now what we are interested in is what number will I multiply this bracket x minus 16 to give me minus 4x plus 64. Itakuwa ngapi? Minus 4. Are we together? When you take minus 4 and multiply by x minus 16, you'll get minus 4x plus 64. Therefore, our quadratic expression when factorized will be x minus 4, x minus 16 is equals to 0. Are we together? Now, if you're continuing with the question and you're told to solve the values of x, this x minus 4 will be equal to 0, and this x minus 16 will be equal to 0. The same case with our previous example. X minus 4, x minus 9 is equal to 0. So x minus 4 will be equal to 0. X minus 9 will be equal to 0. So the values of x will be 4 or 9. The same case upper. Our values of x will be 4 or 16. That is how we solve a quadratic equation by factorizing it. We introduce brackets. Now, since we have understood how to factorize quadratic equations, we might have expressions, quadratic expression. No, we might have algebraic expressions ama polynomial expressions. Kwa mfano hii. And you have been told to find the value of x. Tumepatiwa x raised to power 4 minus 13x squared plus 36 is equals to 0. What do? We will use something known as substitution to solve for this expression. And what we will do is we reduce this polynomial expression to become a quadratic one. This is a polynomial expression whose order is power 4. Now we want to reduce it to become a quadratic expression. And how do we do that? When you look at this x squared and x raised to power 4, this x squared is squared. Imekuwa raised to power 2 so that we can get x raised to power 4. Are you together up? We have this x squared. Imekuwa power raised to power 2 so that we can have x power 4. Now if I take x raised to power 2 and substitute it with u, I say let x squared be u. X raised to power 4 itakuwa ngapi? No. Angalia hapa. Tumesema that when you have a variable x squared raised to power 2, number indices, it's the same. If you have a number that already has a power, and we raise that number by another power, it is the same as taking that power, the initial power, in this case 2, you multiply it by 4. So this number can be written as 8 raised to power x, 8 raised to power 8. Now, in our expression over here, we have x squared, and the first value is x raised to power 4. This is a polynomial equation of order 4. Now, x squared, now what have we done to x squared to get x raised to power 4? We have taken x squared and we have powered it. We have squared it again, so that you can have the powers multiplying each other to get x raised to power 4. Now, we have taken the x squared and we have substituted it with a random variable u. You can take we can take a, b, c, g. It does not matter. Now, if x squared is u, in this case we have used u, x raised to power 4 will be u squared. Are we together? Do we have a question up to that point? Okay. Now, let us replace these variables in our equation hapo juu. So x raised to power 4 tumesema ni u squared. So u squared minus 13u plus 36 is equals to 0. What have we done? We have reduced this expression, equation of order 4 to a quadratic expression. A quadratic equation, I mean. And we can be able now to solve this quadratic equation by using the examples vile tumefanya hapo before. Let us look at this equation. Which number will I multiply to get the product equal 36, and the sum of that number will give me minus 13? Which number will I multiply? Minus 4 and minus 9. Are we together? The factors of 36 tulikuwa tumezitaja before: 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, and so on. Now, I'm interested in the factors of 36 that when I multiply will give me 36, and when I add them will give me minus 13, and it is minus 4 and minus 9. Now, let us replace these factors in our equation above. So, u squared minus 4u minus 9u plus 36 is equals to 0. Now, let us factorize these first two variables over here. Now, the common factor, these two variables, u. When I remove u, what I'm left with is u minus 4. Okay? Whatever value I get in the bracket should be the same on this other side, u minus 4. So that it should never bother you. So u minus 4. Now what will I do to this bracket u minus 4 to get minus 9u plus 36. What will I multiply with? What will I multiply this bracket u minus 4 to get minus 9u plus 36? I will multiply with minus 9. It is the same example that we have just done. Is equals to 0. Now, our quadratic equation, when factorized, imekuwa minus 9, u minus 9 into brackets and u minus 4. But now remember that u is equals to x squared. Are we together? Remember that we're not solving for u. What we're interested in is x squared. What we did is we just reduced that expression to a quadratic expression by substituting the quadratic, the variable that is raised to power 2. Now, tuendelee. U minus 9 is equals to 0 and u minus 4 is equals to 0. So the values of u can be, the u is equals to 9 and u is equals to 4. So, but as I've mentioned before, that the value of u is equals to x squared. So therefore, x squared is equals to 9 and x squared is equals to 4. Okay? X squared is equals to 9 and x squared is equals to 4. Now, our values of x will therefore be plus or minus 3. X will be plus or minus 2. What we have done is we have taken the square root of that x. We have solved this expression, x raised to power 4 minus 13x squared plus 36 is equals to 0. What did we do? We took this expression, this equation, we reduced it to a quadratic equation. Once we reduced it to a quadratic equation, we factorized our quadratic equation. After factorizing our quadratic equation, we got that the value, the answer of our quadratic equation is 9 or 4. But remember that we substituted x squared with u. We substituted x squared with u. Therefore, x squared is equals to 9 or x squared is equals to 4. And how do we find the value of x? So we take the square root of x squared and we take the square root of 9 to get plus or minus 3. The same, x squared, we take the square root to get the value of x and the square root of 4 to get plus or minus 2. Yes.
Now if they ask you to leave the answer in bracket form.
No, in this question, in this type of question, you're being asked to to solve for the value of x.
Yes.
But now you see, it is very difficult to solve the value of when I give you 3x minus 5 is equals to 0, then that is very easy to solve because this is a linear equation. The value of x will be 5 over 3. Now, if I give you a quadratic equation, then it is also easier to solve. X squared minus 13x plus 36 is equals to 0. We can solve the quadratic equation by using the quadratic formula. We can solve it using what you have just done by factorizing that quadratic equation.
Can I interrupt, Malim?
Interrupt.
Yes, like it was u minus 9, then into bracket minus 4. So my question is like when you ask to leave it in bracket form, like when we said that let x squared be u. So in our final, can we replace like x squared minus 9 and this other one x squared minus 4?
Now look at this, is equals to 0.
0.
Now we have not yet, it is not our answer. Reason being is we still have to solve the value of x. Right? We haven't found the value of x. Sawa. The question haijaisha, bado haijaisha.
Yes.
So we have to bado lazima tuendelee so that we can get the value of x. Now we have umefanya nikumbuke a very important thing. Now when you're given such x squared minus 9, when you're given such x squared minus 9, this is known as difference of perfect squares. Difference of perfect squares. Now, if I am told to open this, now difference of perfect squares, what do I mean? When I find the square root of x, inanipatia x. When I find the square root of 9, inanipatia 3. Are we together? This x squared minus 9 is the same as writing it as x minus 3, x plus 3. Are we together? When you're given an expression, mfano x squared minus 16, this is a difference of perfect squares. So when you're told to simplify this, to find its factors, itakuwa x minus 4, x plus 4. Because this is a difference of perfect squares, we have a perfect square x. When you find the square root of it, inakupatia x. When you find the square root of 16, it will give you plus or minus 4. So one value will be positive 4 and the other value will be minus 4. All right, together. That's why we are finding that our answer hapa ni plus or minus 3. Let us do it namna hii hapa juu. We found that our value is x squared minus 9 is equals to 0. And x squared minus 4 is equals to 0. Naweza andika this expression as x minus 3 or x plus 3 is equals to 0. And then the second one, x minus 2, x plus 2 is equals to 0. 4 is also a perfect square. When I find the square root of 4, inanipatia 2, plus or minus 2. So the answer of x here will be 3 or minus 3. The answer here of x will be 2 or minus 2. This is what we call difference of perfect squares. Here, x squared minus 16, x squared minus 4, x squared minus 9. Now, that was beside the point. Now, let us try another example. We have 2. Now, we have x plus 4 cube root minus 12 is equals to 0. We want to solve this expression, but as it is ni ngumu to solve for it. Now, how can we solve it? We can convert this expression to become a quadratic expression, and when converted to a quadratic expression, then it will be easier to solve for that quadratic expression. Now, we can rewrite this equation, as x plus 4. Remember, a square root. When you find a number, the square root of a number, it is the same as raising that number as by a half. Sindio? If I'm finding the cube root of x, it's the same as raising that variable x by a third. Now, minus 12 is equals to 0. I have rewritten my equation like that. Now, let us substitute this variable x raised to the power half. X raised to the power half, let x raised to the power half be a. X is the square, x raised to the power half squared. Inanipatia x. Are we together? Therefore, x will be a squared. If a is x raised to the power half, then x will be a squared. Now we Using substitution, we can convert this initial equation to become a quadratic equation. Now, a squared plus 4a minus 12 is equals to 0. Are we together? Okay. Now, let us find the factors that when I multiply will give me minus 12. When I multiply, inanipatia minus 12, and when I add them, zinanipatia 4. What will be my answer? Which factors of 12 will, when I multiply, zinanipatia minus 12, but when I add them, they'll give me 4. The factors of 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Now, factors za 12 ambazo nikimultiply zinanipatia minus 12, itakuwa minus 2 and 6. And when I add them, they'll give me 4. Now, using these roots, and I rewrite them in that equation, then my expression, my equation will be a squared minus 2a plus 6a minus 12 is equals to 0. I'm sorry. Is equals to 0. Now let us factorize. Let us introduce brackets in the first two expressions, the first two variables. Now the common factor, the common factor in the first two is a. When I introduce brackets, what I'm left with is a minus 2. The same, on the other side, I should get a minus 2. Now, what will I do to a minus 2? What will I multiply with a minus 2 to give me 6a minus 12? I'll multiply with 6. What I'm left with is a plus 6 and a minus 2. What I've done is I've factorized my quadratic equation, a squared plus 4a minus 12, and I've introduced it. I've introduced the roots of that quadratic equation. No, I've factorized that quadratic equation. Now, a plus 6 is equals to 0. A minus 2 is equals to 0. Therefore, my answer, the values, the answer of a is equals to is minus 6 or plus 2. But remember that a is x. Raised power half. Remember that a is x raised power half. Now, x raised power half is equals to 6, or x raised power half is equals to 2. Now, what we want to get is x. What we're interested in is x. Before niendelee, kuna swali hapo? Mpaka hapo kuna swali? Any question? Any question? Okay. Now, what I want you to note is that in this one, the first answer that I got, minus 6, I will ignore that answer. I will ignore it. Why? When I find the square root of a number, let me just show you over here. Let's say x raised to minus the square root of minus 4. My calculator inanipatia math error, meaning that when I use a calculator to find the square root of a negative number, it is when I use a calculator inanipatia math error. What that means is that you cannot find the square root of a negative number, but that is not entirely true. It is very possible, but it will introduce us to complex numbers, real and imaginary numbers. When I look at the answer that I've gotten, minus 6, remember this is the square root of x, should give you minus 6. And you have seen that in our calculator, it is impossible to find the square root of a number itupatia a negative number, the answer to be negative. So we ignore this because once we start finding the square roots of negative numbers, it will introduce us to complex numbers, or it will start introducing us to complex numbers, and that's not what we're interested in right now. So we ignore that. It is an answer, but we ignore it for now. What we are left with now is this x raised power half is equals to 2. So our value of x will be 4. What we'll do is we'll take this variable and square it to get x. And we square the answer to get 4. Are we together? Is there any question? Please ask questions if there is a question. So kila mtu ameelewa hapo. Tumeelewa? What we are doing is we are taking polynomial expressions and converting them to quadratic equations so that we are able to solve for those polynomial expressions. Now, something I want you to note is that this variable here is in mbili. This variable should be the square of this one. I don't know if you have been seeing that trend. In the first example that we did, we had x raised power 4, and the second variable was x squared. We had x raised power 4 and you had x squared. This variable here should be the square of this one. The second example ambayo tumefanya is we had x and we had x, the square root of x. X is the square of x raised power half. Are you together? Now let us see another example so that we tuone kama tumeelewa. We have x raised power 2 over 3 minus 2x raised power third minus 8 is equals to 0. X raised power 2 over 3 minus 2 x raised power 2 over 3 minus 2 x raised power third minus 8 is equals to 0. We can be able to solve this by substituting the value of x raised power a third. Let's say g. X raised power 2 over 3 is this squared. Therefore, x raised power 2 thirds is g squared. Now, what do? We take this and substitute it in our polynomial equation, our expression up here. So x raised power 2 3 will be g squared minus g minus 2g minus 8 is equals to 0. What have we done? We have taken this equation, this expression, and you have substituted g. And now it has now become a quadratic equation. Now we can solve for this quadratic equation by factorizing this quadratic equation. We introduce brackets. And how do we do that? I want to find a number. When I multiply these two coefficients, inanipatia minus 8. And when I add those two numbers, the sum should give me minus 2. Now, what are the factors of 8? We have 1, we have 2, we have 4, we have 8. Now, which two numbers in these two factors, when I multiply them, will give me minus 8, and when I add them, they'll give me minus 2. I have minus 4 and I have 2. Sindio? Now, when I replace these two numbers in our quadratic equation up there, what I'm left with is g squared minus 4g plus 2g minus 8 is equals to 0. Now, it is very possible now to factorize. I might introduce brackets in our expression. Now, let us do that in these first two variables. Now, which is a common factor in g squared minus 4g? g. Tunabaki na g minus 4. Right. Now the same on this other side, I should have g minus 4. Now what will I do to g minus 4 to get to g minus 8? I will multiply it by plus 2. And this should be equal to 0. Now what we are left with is g plus 2 times g minus 4 is equals to 0. What we have now is we have factorized our quadratic equation, g squared minus 2g minus 8. When you introduce brackets inakuwa g plus 2 g minus 4 is equals to 0. Therefore g plus 2 is equals to 0, g minus 4 is equals to 0. Now the roots of our quadratic equation, the solutions of our quadratic equation is minus 2 and 4. But remember that g is x raised to power a third. So x raised to power third is equals to minus 2 and x raised to power third is equals to 4. So what will be the value of x? X raised to power third is equals to minus 2 and x raised to power third is equals to 4. So the value of x will be, so what do? We take the value x cubed and we cube it. We raise it to power 3. When you take a number that is already an exponent and we raise that number again. When you take a number that is an exponent and we raise that number again, the powers, we multiply the powers. In this case, our power is a third times 3. I don't know if my work is clear. Do you see? Mnaona kweli? But you can give me the value of x. What will be the value of x? The first is x raised to power third is equals to minus 2 and x raised to power third is equals to 4. So the values of x will be, the first one will be 64 or we are multiplying each side by a third. No, we are raising each side by 3 to give us the value of x. So the first one, enye umenipatia is we have taken the 4. Raised by 3 tumepata 64. Now hii pia negative, we raise it by 3. Inatupatia ngapi?
8. No, negative 8.
Minus 8. Now I know you're confused because kuna ile pattern nilimention ya square root. That only applies to square root, but if you are doing cube root, ni sawa. Are you together?
What if there is a number before, like for example, in this example, place a number like 2x, 2 or 3.
2x?
And we place a number before the original equation.
Now, so 2x minus 2x raised to power third minus 8 is equals to 0. Let us just do that example together. Okay. Now let us substitute our x raised to power third to be a. So x raised to power third is a. So this x raised to power 2 over 3 will be a squared. Sindio? Now let us substitute this in our equation. So we'll have 2a squared minus 2a minus 8 is equals to 0. Now which number, when I multiply now the coefficient, easy. When I say the coefficient, this number might be 4, might be 10. When I multiply these two numbers, itakuwa minus 16. And the sum will be minus 2. Now which two numbers will I multiply to get minus 16? And when I add them, inanipatia minus 2. Now let us look at the product, tuangalia nini. the factors of 16. We have 1, we have 2, we have 4, we have 8, and we have 16. Now this might not be possible kwa sababu tumechukua a random number. Kwa sababu kwa hizi factors when you add them we cannot get 2. Utapata ama unaweza pata? No. There's no number you can get. But let's change this to, let us equal ngapi? Plus 6. Let this be plus 6. Plus 6. Now it is possible to do it. Our initial equation now is 2x raised to power 2 over 3 plus 6x raised to power third minus 8 is equals to 0. We still replace a. We substitute x raised to power third with a. Now x raised to power 2, 3 is x raised to power third squared. So when you replace with a, itakuwa a squared. Now we replace these two variables ambazo tumeintroduce in our equation above and we change it to become a quadratic formula. So itakuwa 2a squared. Let me write on a new page. Hapo pamejaa sana. So 2x raised to power 2 over 3 plus 6 raised to power a third, 6x raised to power third minus 8 is equals to 0. Now a tumesema ni x raised to power a third and a squared x raised to power 2 over 3. We replace this equation above. So 2a squared plus 6a minus 8 is equals to 0. Now let us solve for that quadratic equation. These two numbers, the coefficient of this the first term, itakuwa, the product will be minus 16 and the sum will be 6. Now which numbers will I multiply and I'll get negative 16, and when I add them nitapata 6. Now let us write down the products of 16. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, I think. Now, which two numbers will I multiply? Zinanipatia minus 16, and when I add them, zinanipatia plus 6. We have 2 and sawa. Now we use these two values, two numbers, to ziandike hapa juu. So 2a squared plus, no, minus 2a plus 8a minus 8 is equals to 0. Now using these two first terms, let us factorize 2a squared minus 2a. Our common factor hapo ni ngapi? 2a. So a minus 1. The same, I should get the same here, a minus 1. So now what will I do to 8 minus 1 to get 8a minus 8? Plus 8 is equals to 0. Now let us group 2a plus 8, a minus 1 is equals to 0. So 2a minus 8, no, plus 8 is equals to 0, and a minus 1 is equals to 0. So the value of a, the first one itakuwa 2a is equals to minus 8. So the value of a will be minus 4. And the second value here, a is equals to 1. But remember that x is equals to a third. No, a, I mean. Our value of a is equals to x raised to power a third. So x raised to power a third for this one will be equal to 1, and for this one x raised to power a third will be equal to minus 4. So the value of x itakuwa ngapi? We raise each side by power 3. So x is equals to 1 or we raise each side by 3. We get that our value of x is 1 or minus 64. Hapo umeelewa? So if you have a number over here, any number before the x, the first term, usikubabaize bana. Just take this number, the coefficient of that first term, and multiply it by the constant to get the product. If you have 4, utakuwa na minus 32, and the sum will be 6. So what numbers will I multiply to get minus 32, and when I add them inanipatia 6. Now are we together? Now what we've done is we have a lot